Alright guys, I'm going to explain how I wired up the Corvette taillights on my 87 Pontiac Fiero. There's been some discussion about the correct way to get it in order to get your brakes and blinkers and everything to work. Alright, the issue is originally on the Fiero you had the taillight like this, and there was two bulbs on top for the blinkers, two bulbs on bottom for the markers and the brakes, and then your backup. The way the Corvette light is you've got the outer lens here, and it's got one bulb that's got your blinker, brake, marker on it, and then the inner lens here is your backup. So you're trying to get everything from the Fiero wiring to work this one bulb correctly. If you're just going to go straight with the lens the way that it is, the backup lights obviously will just go straight from the Fiero into the Corvette because there's no wiring changes. I cut and spliced mine to put the Corvette bulb housing here on versus the Fiero housing because it'll actually twist in and lock, whereas the Fiero will just kind of go in there and twist around a little bit. For the brakes and markers and stuff, a lot of guys, the answer is this trailer adapter basically, and the way it works is coming into the one side you have all your, right here you have all your lines for a pickup. So you've got like your blinker here at the yellow, running lights, brake, ground, and what type is the green one? Oh, left turn, right turn, that's what it was. And then it pumps it out, so it changes it to just a right turn, left turn, tail marker, and ground. So basically it's for taking like pickup lights like a Chevy that has the multiple different settings and then running them out to just a single trailer bulb that will work correctly. So what dudes are doing is they're wiring the one side into the car, cutting this connector off the other side, and then wiring these into the Corvette lights, and they're working correctly. To leave that out, and the way that I did it is with a LED ring that I put inside the housing. So what I did was I cut the housings right here where it goes from the rounded part of the top housing to the flat part of the housing all the way around, and I separated it. It's just plastic, so it's a real simple little cut there. And then I put these little LED rings inside there that look like this. Got them off eBay. I think they were 10 bucks or something like that. They got a little regulator in there, and it's just a 2-wire job. I think 90 millimeter, and it fits right around the light on the Corvette, the little hump that's inside here for this 80 to 82 style light. So what I did for the wiring on that was, for the Fiero wiring coming here out of the car, this is your blinker wiring right here. Let me work on getting this focused if I can. I don't know if it's going to want to focus here. Anyway, you got your turn signal wiring here coming out with the ground and then the actual blinker wire here, and I just put them onto the ground and the blinker wire on the Corvette bulb housing, which I again changed to the Corvette style. So you got on the Corvettes here, you've got a ground on the side, then you've got a running marker in the middle that's brown, and a blinker brake on the right that's green. So I ran my blinker to the green, and I grounded out to the black, and the brown here is just empty. There's nothing going to it. To the two lines running to that ring is where I put my ground for the ring, obviously, and then the brake and the marker. And the way that I did that was with a couple of rectifiers and then a resistor. And I'll real quick show you over here how I ran those in line. Alright, so here we go. So off the car for the marker light as well as the brake light, the first thing you do is you run one of these rectifiers, and it's just a rectifier diode. I did a 600 volt. You could probably do the 400 volts. The one thing you need to think about or pay attention to is on the actual rectifier here, it's a black little cylinder. On the one end, which is the end up here by my finger, there's a silver stripe. That's the end that needs to point at the light, and basically the juice from the car goes this way out towards the light. And what this does is it changes the electricity from alternating current to a direct current, and it makes it so that the flow will not come back this way. It'll only go out. So you're gonna have one of each of these hooked, one to your brake and then one to your marker, and then you're going to have this resistor. The resistor that I ended up using was a 270 ohm resistor. I tried a 540 and it was a little bit dim, so the 270 was a good fit. And basically what you're going to do is put this resistor past the one rectifier, and then have the other rectifier hook onto the other end of it. So you're going to have rectifier, resistor, and then rectifier on the other side connecting into the resistor line after the resistor. So by the resistor, it's going to just take out some of that juice, so the light's not as bright. So for your marker light, which is your brown light from the car, it's going to come up, it's going to hit this rectifier, it's going to hit the resistor, which is going to dim it, and then it's going to continue into the light, and the light's going to be dim. When you hit your brakes, it's going to go through this rectifier, so it can't come back, but it's not going to hit that resistor. It's just going to go straight into the light, so it's going to give it full power, and it's going to go bright, and you'll have your brake and your marker. And then obviously the LED ring still has the ground wire, which just goes straight into it with no modifications. So one more time to make sure I said it all right. Hopefully I'm not going to contradict myself here. The brown wire on the car is the marker wire. It's going to come up, it's going to hit this rectifier diode. It's then going to go through the resistor, and then it's going to continue on into the light. For the I believe blue wire, whichever the brake wire is, I think it's the blue wire off the top of my head here, it's going to go into this rectifier, and then it's just going to go straight into the light from there, into that same line. So if I got my LED bulbs, lens, ring, whatever you want to call it over here, you're going to have the blue line like that, and then the white line over here just goes to the ground. And with these ones, it doesn't even matter, they can go either way, so you could run white if you wanted to, or blue, doesn't matter. And that'll get you the effect that you want. So let me show you real quick how it all comes together and works. So there's your right blinker, and then your left blinker, and then if you hit the brake, they both light up and become significantly brighter. And the reverses work like normal. You just throw it into reverse and the reverse lights will turn on. Real quick, do that for you. Gotta get in the car because I'm sitting on a hill. Don't want the dang thing rolling away. So you throw it in reverse and the reverse lights come on. And everything still works as usual. Blinkers, blinkers, blinker, and brake. And obviously everything's getting just blasted out by that much light. Alright, got it all finished up, so here's how it looks completed. It is lights all in. It's in reverse right now, so the reverse lights are turned on. Turn left blinker. Left. Right blinker. Right. turn the lights on.
The lights on?
Lights on.
How?
On the dash on your upper left side, there's a little switch that looks kind of like a miniature version of the one in your truck. There's markers. Brakes. Hold the brakes and do left blinker. Right blinker. That's good. Let off brakes. And that is how it goes. Alright guys, for the last part of the video, I'm going to talk about how I put the housings here together. They're just standard 80 to 82 Corvette taillight housings. We've got, on my car, I'm running the 2 outside marker lights and then the 2 reverse lights. Inside of each of these, I have these little LED rings. I have the link to where I got them in the description below. And they're just a 90mm strip of LEDs. It's 2 parts. You got the actual strip itself and then a little cover that goes over the top of it. The first time I put them in, they're super bright and they just blasted out and made the entire light housing shine. You didn't get that nice little ring look. So what I ended up doing was taping off this top edge of the cover here and then painting the sides and the back black so that the light could only come out the one side. At that point I then glued them to the face of the lens here. To do that, these were one piece from the factory. I cut them apart right here along the transition from the rounded edge down to this flat edge all the way across. Split the light in half, dropped the LED in there and laid it flat on the lens, glued it down. You don't want to use hot glue. I tried that and the heat of the actual bulb itself ends up melting the hot glue and it doesn't work. So find yourself an epoxy from AutoZone or wherever and it'll work a lot better. But the rings will fit right around, at a 90mm ring, will fit right around this little ridge inside the light. Epoxy it down and then glue your housing back together. I just super glued it back together. And then the little hole here, whatever it is, that's standard on the Corvette light anyways, they just ran my pigtail out of that. The lights came with the little connector already, the rings did, so when you need to take it apart or whatever, you just pop your bulb out there, your regular Corvette bulb out of there, and then unplug the ring and it all comes apart. You're not having to cut wires and splice everything back together over and over again. Did the same thing on the reverse lights. If you take a look here, they got the pigtail coming out of them as well. What I wanted to do was 4 rings across, 2 per side obviously. The issue that you end up having is around the clear part here in the center, all this red. You can kind of make out all the little diamond pattern it's got going on there. That's all reflector. So first of all, it's not smooth on the back, so you can't get a good tight seal against it when you're gluing that ring. And second of all, every time the light comes on, every one of these little guys radiates the light across all the other ones around it, and it ends up just looking like crap and being dim, and it doesn't do a very good job. Originally what I wanted to do was run 4 of these clear lights like this with the rings on all 4 of them, and then do like backups in the center, and then on the outside of the car do an amber turn signal. But because of the way this is going to work with the rings in there, it doesn't happen. So as it is, I'm just not plugging this end into anything, and I'm just leaving it with a standard backup and running the ring on the outside only. Might eventually switch over and run 4 of these markers or whatever. If anybody knows where I can get this guy without the reflector around the outside edge, that would be awesome, and I'd appreciate that in the comments below. Yeah, I got all the links to the rectifier diodes, as well as the LED rings and the resistors that I used in this whole setup in the comments below, or in the information below. So if you guys need anything, you'll probably have your answers there. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up.